I believe Shaban is back with us in the studio. Shaban, how are you this morning?
She's just coming in now, Alice. She's walking
just
through the
now.
door.
She's not late, is she?
No,
Sorry.
she's not late. No. She's
late again.
A very
I
important
just gave you a
bulletin.
big build-up there, Shaban, as well.
Yeah.
I was having a meeting.
Okay.
I'm joking.
With
I wasn't.
MD important, was it Ed?
God, I'm out of breath. That's a good noise, isn't it? Morning. We're going to be discussing the Champions League because, of course, the round of 16 is back with you tonight. We've got Manchester City travelling to FC Copenhagen. That's going to be live for you here. TalkSPORT, build up from 7, kick off at 8 o'clock. So, as you said there, is the Champions League becoming a little bit too predictable? Reason we're talking about this is there's a good piece by Miguel Delaney inside The Independent. He says there certainly doesn't feel like there's the same anticipation or sense of grandeur about the knockout stages as there was the likes of 5 years ago. No club with a revenue of less than 465 million has won the competition since 2013.
Wow.
And that was Bayern Munich. And it's not to be dismissive, say, of all the clubs taking part and the great clubs involved, but it does seem like there's a sense of inevitability going into this Champions League.
I do know what you mean, and it's weird. I don't know why. At the moment with football, when we've got stuff that we've treasured for so long, and yet now I don't know, we seem to be in a moment, Shaban, where we want to change everything, whether it's the FA Cup, whether it's this, whether it's that, the formats of this, the format of that.
Yeah.
And of course, whilst a lot of fans, I totally get it, might not find some of these matches or greet them enthusiastically. I still think the competition in the Champions League, when it gets to the last 8, I still think is the best football you can watch. I do. I really do. So I look forward to it. I don't like all this change. Do you, Ali? You think about? Would you like to shake it up? Would you like to go back to a knockout, for instance? Just everyone goes in the pot and the teams just come out.
The problem is, right, it's finance.
And it's broadcasting.
Yeah. What we're effectively saying now, it only gets interesting when it comes down to the teams with the most money getting involved with each other at the end of the tournament. Mm-hmm. That's what we're saying, effectively.
Yeah.
But we're not interested in FC Copenhagen or Rangers or Celtic. We're not interested in that. Because
is that a monetary thing because they're not as rich?
Of course it is. And that's what it is. And unfortunately, the rich are going to get richer and the poor are going to stay that way. There will be no change. I mean, back in the day when the tournament started, think about it. Marseille got to the final.
They did.
You know, PSV Eindhoven, Steaua Bucharest.
Correct.
Porto
with Jose, they won it.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When was that with Porto? I'm going to guess it was 2003, 2004.
mid-2000s.
So we're talking 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? So what have we had in the last 20 years? We've had the exact same every year. Whether it's a Man City, whether it's a Liverpool,
United,
whether it's a Real Madrid, whether it's a Bayern Munich, it's one of the teams
Chelsea,
with the most money.
Yep.
And that's the way it is. So, you know, we can argue about the pros and cons of it, but the fact of the matter is, a lot of people, I mean, I love the Champions League. I think the quality of the football is absolutely first class. But, you know, you can argue it doesn't get exciting until the teams with the most money get involved in facing each other in the last 8.
Mm-hmm.
It's true, that.
The last 13 finals have been won by 6 clubs: Barcelona, Chelsea, Bayern, Real Madrid, Liverpool and Manchester City, clubs that you associate with big cash. But then you also look at the other teams in the competition who are starting to progress, and you can never rule them out, and that's the beauty of then football like this and competitions like this.
See that, Shaban, the other day, Ali, the NFL?
Yes.
Like Kansas City, they've won that 3 times the Super Bowl now in the last 5. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is that like, do they have
do you know something?
Smaller teams coming through and winning the Super Bowl? Because I don't follow it enough.
Do you know what happens? I think, Andy, and somebody will be far better, Will Gavin, one of the boys, will be far better qualified. I think what they attempt to do is, and I don't know the full ins and outs, but I think Kansas City might go to the bottom of the draft pick.
Right.
And I think that's how it works vaguely. I'm not exactly sure, and that's the way they try and
team who
balance
finishes
it.
last gets the first pick at the draft.
I think so.
I think
it's a wee bit like that. I don't know if exactly that's how it is, but I think that's how they try and balance it a little bit, mate.
But again,
and they've also got one of the best quarterbacks in the world playing, which a lot of the pundits did say
Yes.
the Super Bowl is having him will be key to you winning the Super Bowl, and they could win it again next time round. But when you focus on the Champions League now, going into the round of 16, does it feel like it's becoming a bit of a Super League?
Yes.
I suppose it is. I suppose it is, Shaban, when you actually phrase it like that. Yes, I suppose it is, and I don't think, as Ali says, it's going to change anytime soon. I the Champions League, I've followed it, and both Ali and I have been lucky enough to work on it for many, many years. And I do think that when it's like international friendlies nowadays. International friendlies can seem, in this particular era, a little tedious sometimes, and they can seem a little flat and almost fulfilling an obligation to get through some of these matches. And then all of a sudden the big competitions come around, the big tournaments come around, and everybody gets massively revved up for it, as they should. I kind of feel that's just the moment we're living in now as sports lovers and sports fans, is that the humdrum, mundane, sort of everyday stuff can sometimes feel a little bit ordinary, and then everyone just gets super revved up when the big games come about.
I just think the magic of the tournament's been taken away a little bit, Siobhan. I mean, you know, much as it breaks my heart to say it, one of the stories, you look at Celtic, for example, when Celtic won the European Cup in '67, right? The well-known fact or statement was that the boys, every one of the lads lived within, I think it was 30 miles of the stadium, right? That is a wonderful, wonderful story.
No one lives 30 miles from the stadium nowadays.
It's never happening. With some are travelling to train in their own helicopter nowadays, but that kind of thing, Siobhan, is never, ever going to happen again. And you can forget, and that in many ways, I mean, I know times move on, I get it, but it's sad that it seems like they just can't compete financially. Rangers and Celtic, for example, in my opinion, you know, at the start of the tournament, they should maybe make it a little bit more open, and I know they're changing it again this year, but they've got to try and spread the wealth a little bit, or it's just going to carry on the same way, and you're only going to get 4 or 5 teams winning the tournament.
Just quickly, do you think the revamp then of the Champions League is long overdue? Do you think it will help with changing it up now to 36 teams next season?
Again, remains to be seen, Siobhan. I'm
yeah.
afraid it remains to be seen. More teams coming into it, more teams involved. It's great opportunities for those. They'll of course be rubbing their hands together at the chance to mix it with the very best. Will it really cut it with armchair fans? Remains to be seen.
It's interesting because Bayern Munich were the ones we were thinking could rival Manchester City to the Champions League title this season. Defensively, they're struggling. They're struggling now in the league. So now it looks like Manchester City, who play Copenhagen tonight away, looks like they're already going to run away with it. But maybe that's...
Well, look,
Madrid.
Yes, I mean, Madrid will have something to say about that, of course, and Arsenal's still involved. They'd love to think that they can still have something to say in it, but which will make it exciting, of course, for all of us guys watching. But when you start expanding these tournaments, it's going to be interesting to see exactly how it's received. It is.
It's an interesting topic, as guys. The Champions League knockout begins tonight, but does it excite you, or has it become far too stale?
TalkSPORT Breakfast, waking you up Monday to Friday morning from 6 a.m. on AM, on DAB, via the TalkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. TalkSPORT.